Nobody's king. Nobody's the boss. Everybody has a shot. All people are asking for is a shot. Honesty, decency.
Well, former President Biden emerging from post-presidency to slam the current administration in his first appearance since leaving the Oval Office. Aishah Hasnie gave us a preview yesterday, and she's here from Washington. Hi.
Hey, good morning. So some awkward moments for the former president as everyone, even President Trump, was paying attention to what he was saying. At first, Biden started speaking over the loud music, unclear if he couldn't hear it or not. He also joked about his age. And at one point, Dana, he referred to black children as, quote, colored kids, while telling a story about desegregation. Now, President Trump sharing a clip of that online. He did not mention President Trump by name last night, but he did criticize Elon Musk, Doge, and the administration as he tried to rally Democrats against alleged GOP threats to Social Security. Listen.
Fewer than 100 days, this new administration has made so much, done so much damage and so much destruction. It's kind of breathtaking.
Now, he was supposed to speak for about an hour, but he wrapped after just 30 minutes. It's the first big speech for the former president amid new books out detailing his mental decline. The former president is trying to get back into the mix to help Democrats as they find their way, but there's been some criticism about that from former campaign staffers. Yesterday, though, the top House Democrat threw Biden a bone.
Unprecedented assault on Social Security is an all hands on deck moment, which is why President Biden's voice in this fight is going to be so incredibly important.
So the review is out. We'll see if Democrats liked how he performed and if they want him on the trail with them. We'll watch.
All right. I think I know the answer. All right, Aishah, thank you.
Charlie Hertz here, Fox and Friends Weekend co-host. Nice to have you back, Charlie. Good morning to you. CNN says this: asked by CNN about the hearing, whether or not they heard from the former president since January 20th. One longtime supporter and donor said only this: "No, thank God." End quote. Charlie, the Wall Street Journal says he was paid for this appearance. The total we don't know. Did they get their money's worth?
They certainly got a lot of publicity. I don't know if it's the publicity that they wanted for it, but if all publicity is good publicity, then maybe they did get their money for it. But I agree with Dana. I think it's pretty clear what the answer is. The answer is a resounding no. Nobody wants him out there on the trail with them. But I think that you have a larger question here, which is, 1 year ago, that was the leader of the free world. That was the president of the United States. That was the Democrat Party's nominee for president, after the party had spent months rigging the Democrat primary in order to install him yet again as the nominee of the party. And then, of course, we know what happened after that. But to me, the bigger question here is it's a reminder of what the degree to which, the lengths that the party went to, the degree to which the party leaders who are still in office lied to cover up this guy's mental deficiencies, which were on full display during that speech yesterday. And the question to me is, no politician wants him on the campaign trail with him. But does the party suffer lasting, irreversible damage because of what they did to prop him up? And to me, that question remains to be answered.
Okay, another topic here. David Hogg is a 25-year-old young man from the state of Florida. He was in Stoneman Douglas High School when that shooting took place that day. He's going to spend some money because he raised a lot about 2 years ago. Put it up here. David Hogg, a controversial Democratic National Committee vice chair, is pledging to upend Democratic primaries by funding candidates who would challenge, quote, ineffective, asleep at the wheel Democrats. His idea is to go after safe blue seats and try and recruit more younger candidates for office in the Democratic Party. James Carville has a message for that. So we're at both spectrums here right now, right? We got the young, likely progressive future leaders of the party, and you got James Carville. Watch here.
I don't think we can work together on pronoun politics. Maybe we can have a amicable split here. And you go your way, and we go our way, and after the election, we come together and see how much common ground we can find. the party has tried to, at some level, maintain its identity and its name. Maybe it's just not worth it.
Wow. Who wins this?
Sadly, James Carville is a dinosaur in the Democrat Party. I think that part of the Democrat Party is over. I think that those dinosaurs are going away, and so they're going to lose. All of the energy is over with the David Hogg wing. You've seen some of these incredible gatherings at AOC and Bernie Sanders rallies out in Los Angeles and even a place like Idaho, where you have lots of people, lots of enthusiasm. It's where all the money is in the Democrat Party. And quite frankly, they're kind of crazy. When they start talking about ideas and they start talking about issues, they're really, really crazy. And so sadly for the Democrat Party, and I think sadly for the country, by the way, because I think that it's important to have a healthy Democrat Party. I want more than one sane party in this country. The politics of pronouns and craziness and socialism inside the Democrat Party is going to win out over the sort of more sensible, trying to come to the middle voices in the Democrat Party. And I don't think that's good for the country, by the way.
Okay. Charlie, to be continued, because this
Yes,
is going to be really something
We're here
to watch.
to watch.
Yeah, yes, we shall. Nice to see you back on our show. Thank you, Charlie. You too.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.